When Sett was revealed, I was on the Sett Karma train from the moment I realized the foolishness that is Karma plus coin. It's seriously one of the best decks right now. I climbed to master with it and I want you. Yes, you. To join the army of coin abusers. Deck Tech. I'm going to go over the cards, and the strategy behind these two Karma Sett builds. Coins are the latest and greatest game-breaking mechanic that Karma Sett is built around. They help you to steamroll the opponent by almost going infinite, with the right situations, or cheating out one more play to stall out the game. Karma is the star of the show. The most important piece in winning the game is K-Coin. With her, you can double up coins and play 3 rounds worth of mana, while the opponent is limited to their measly 13. With Karma on the board you get an endless stream of random spells on round start. Your average removal or burn damage spell gets amped up and you get double the draw. Karma flips the game on its head when she levels on turn 10. Sett is her understudy. He supports Karma by challenging down threats and creating showstoppers to deal with beefy contenders. His champ spell is great for stalling as well. If you play Sett properly, he can stay in the ring and trade even 3 times against decks without good removal, before he level. Sett isn't leveling until turn 8 or 9 usually. I've seen this deck run all of the cards that can generate coins. Smooth mixologist, tag out and place your bets seem to be the auto-includes, with some pit professional and attentive accountant here and there among lists. Facebreaker is good, but concussive palm usually takes up its spot since its fast speed and creates a body to trade down units. 3 of place your bets is essential in the deck, to keep your hand topped up and pull off coin combos, especially since it gives 2 coins. With Karma on the board this becomes a draw for, gain 8 mana for 6 mana by itself. Smooth mixologist is good for keeping your health topped up and blocking with a good body while casually stacking coins. Tag out is amazing, in that it cheaply protects your win cons and can be painful to high cost enemy units through the recall effect. Last but not least, it stacks coins. Pit Professional gives you coin, and a good body for trading at a cheap cost. Attentive Accountant can be an infinite source of coins, through its Nexus Strike effect if the opponent doesn't remove it. But it isn't a good blocker against non-elusives. Mystic Shot and High Note are your classic cheap removal cards. Mystic has the upside of hitting the Nexus while High Note goes wide later in the game. Aftershock is here for those pesky 3 health stat lines, chipping down higher health units and blowing up landmarks like Thralls, Bacalibar and Opulent Foyer on sight. Caustic Riff is here for dealing with smaller wide boards and finishing off units that were already damaged. Karma Sett doesn't have a hard time activating Sump Fumes, so it's good removal, and the spell diversity can help. High Note Augmented Clockling is a goated new card. It's an elusive body to chip with, card draw, and it can predict your win cons or what you need to survive, with a discount on top of that value. Pharaoh's Financier has some good odds now that some of his bad hits were taken out of standard format. He is a versatile cheap blocker that can give you draw, or tools to stall, like units or removal, or burn damage to end the game. Shadow Assassin is a good option for elusive blocking, while keeping your card advantage. Acorn can create advantages through reduced cost spells while blocking elusives for cheap. Formula can make the difference when trying to get Sett's showstopper, since it's 6 cost but actually costs 3, as well as act as cheap draw to keep your hand full during the turns where you go infinite. Hexblit is like this deck's vengeance to deal with beefier threats as well as obliterate weapons or last breath effects. If you want to obliterate, ensure that the enemy unit took damage from before, or you have spells to back up your Hexblit. Deny can protect your champs, or prevent you from getting blown out by big spells. No Pify is better, when there is an abundance of cheap spells in the meta. Sky Singer can let the deck scale even better, and it's a good blocker with life steal. but sadly Sky Singer doesn't let cards become 0 cost, and it only affects what is drawn after it is played. Originally decks were on 2 of this card, but as the deck builds evolved, cutting it is more and more common. Since it's not doing enough. I can definitely see it if you want to play into control decks, but these matchups are already good right now. Maybe it will come back if we are in a control meta, and the deck's late game needs more power. Unworthy Soul can be an option if decks with weapons are getting out of control in the future. There are better elusives and draw cards to run than Vund3r and Disciple. For Pilt of Intel Stones we either run Aftershock or other good draw cards already. Disciple of Duran and Forge Chief don't do enough and there are better blockers. I was on Gotcha before, but got into too many situations where I had to use it as a 4-cost card, so just run Sump Fumes or Aftershock instead of it. Alright, so here are some builds. This one was from the winner of the Mastering Runeterra tournament, Majiinbae. This version is more suited for playing against control decks or mirrors with 2 deny, more coin through Pit Professional and Formula. This is mine that was made for playing against Leona, Samira and mid-range stuff on ladder. It cuts a deny and draw spells like Formula that have a chance of bricking, and in exchange, I put in Pharaoh's Financier. He gives me good cards for mid-range matchups, or Formula on a body to block with. In general there are more units that draw cards to offset no Formula. I was on 2 of Caustic Rift so that it doesn't brick against mid-range boards. Moral of the story, build around what you expect to play against since this deck can tech for matchups easily. Don't be afraid to use Karma's Champ spell. It's good hand refill, and it creates 2 Karmas in the deck, which is like Karma Insurance, and is especially helpful if your deck gets obliterated. One of the best combos on Karma Sett is doubling place your bets with Karma, so try not to use place your bets before this. Karma is the most important unit to protect, so ensure that you play her in a safe position, if you are not about to die to enemy aggression. If you don't have protection, think about the likelihood of drawing into protection or another Karma, when you play Karma with a draw spell like place your bets. Sit down and really think about all of the options that you have in your hand, since full hands in this deck are commonplace. Think about the best use of coin mana, and ways to react to the enemy's deck with your tools. Remember that coin costs 1 in your calculations, and try not to waste mana when refilling. I have misplayed due to this lol. Try to balance playing cards, and keeping your reactivity with passing. Because later in the game, you will be burning cards if you keep too many in hand, since you will be drawing a lot of cards when Karma is leveled. Set also needs mana spent to level. It's okay to burn cards in a turn, if it means that your next action will end the game or swing it in your favor greatly. Against aggro with burn damage, you can tag out Mixologist, and replay her for healing to survive if better plays don't exist. Keep track of when High Note's second effect will activate, and use other cards before it if you can. Open attack with Sett to prevent interaction since his effect can stop removal or make the opponent waste more cards to stop him. Against aggro decks, I usually look for cheap removal that removes their units well, like High Note, Mystic, Aftershock or Caustic Rift based on their stats, and early blockers like Pharaoh's Financier, Pit Professional, and if I have another early play Smooth Mixologist, due to her healing. I like to keep 1 concussive palm against an aggressive deck with good stats, like Leona, Samira or Kale, since their units can go tall and wide for cheap, while brandishing the threat of might. Against midrange, look for early blockers and Aftershock, because it's usually good for mid-range stats, especially if they run landmarks. Hexsplit, especially if they run weapons, and Sett if they don't have a lot of ways of dealing with him like freeze, stun or removal. In control matchups, we are usually the ones that aren't the beatdown, so we are looking to get cards that can remove their value engines, stall out, and gum up their plays. like Hexblit for high merge ace, Mystic or high note for Nora and Twisted Catalyzer, and deny if their deck is spell based enough like high marge ace. Into the mirror, my recommendation is to keep Sett, Karma and Hexblit. Place your bets if you already have Karma. Serene Sky Singer if it's in the deck. The main idea is to mulligan for what counters the opponent's win conditions, while stalling the game. I haven't come across a matchup so far where Karma has to outrace in standard. Matchups and tournament lineup tips. My opinion is, stats don't give the full picture. This deck has a good chance into everything right now, and we can tech up or down for certain matchups, since the build is flexible. But, greedier builds usually struggle with aggressive decks that their removal isn't suited for, like Leona Samira, beefy Demassa type mid-range decks and decks with an abundance of spell shield or interaction denial. It is not easy to counter in a lineup. So, it is either a good pick if you can play it, or an auto ban for the opponent. For the Glory in Arvori expansion patch, a tier 1 lineup would be something like Leona Samira or Samira Fizz, Seraphine Jack and Karma Sett to play the best decks in the game. This is Majiinbae's winning lineup in the Mayu tournament, that Acado, another top player, also brought. You could pair an edited version of this deck with Veigar Nora and Heimerdinger Jace for a triple control lineup to try to beat down mid-range. Or, you could do a comfort lineup and pair Karma Sett with whatever you want, because this deck is just pretty good and flexible. I will be posting matchup-specific guides into popular meta decks in the future for Karma Sett, so subscribe to get notified when that comes out. Like, if this video was helpful for you, and comment below on any burning questions that you have about this deck. Check out my scrimming and daily Rumble streams on Fridays at 7 EST on Twitch and my YouTube channel. From time to time I'll stream tournament gameplay like an open or grassroots tournament as well.